Okay, so this is the December SASH coordinator call, and this is Amy Rogers, your friendly neighborhood training coordinator. Welcome. I hope everybody's braved the snow, and whoever joined us, if you could just hit *6, that'd be great. So I hope everyone's braved the snow and is doing well today. So for today's call, first we're going to cover some SASH updates. Then we're going to do a presentation on social isolation. Becky is not going to be able to join us today, but she did share her presentation with me. So I am going to read her notes from her presentation. So thank you so much, Becky, for sharing that. She may be on the call and may be able to answer questions now or later, but just so everyone's aware. And then we're going to also have some time for other questions if people may have them. So I'm going to get us started. We are very pleased to announce that the Rhode Island SASH team is celebrating their 6-month anniversary. Yay! Congratulations to Rhode Island. And for the Vermont SASH teams who don't know, the Rhode Island SASH team does join these calls. Their team consists of Yvette Santana, who's the SASH coordinator, and Dana Holmgren, who's the wellness nurse. Congratulations to their team on their 6-month anniversary. The pictures on the screen are from their 6-month party. So thank you. It's great news. So here's some other updates. We have some upcoming trainings to announce. There is going to be a RAP facilitator training coming up in April. If you're interested in applying for that, there's 3 things that you need to do. If you're interested, I can give you more information. So one is attending the Copeland Center Correspondence course. There's also a 2- or 3-day seminar, 1 course, or an 8- to 12-week seminar, 1 group or workshop. So if you're not familiar with RAP, it stands for Wellness Recovery Action Plan. So if you're interested or have questions about that, feel free to contact me. In the Tai Chi world, there's also an advanced moves class for instructors that's coming up in January. I sent an email out yesterday, so if you didn't receive that, check your emails or give me a holler if you're interested in that. We may have some funding available. Many people have also asked about the chronic conditions and CDSMP trainings. They don't currently have any scheduled for facilitators. As soon as we know more, we'll keep you posted, but I know they want to try to have some scheduled as soon as they can next year. On the SASH coordinator on the SASH calendar, you'll also find a webinar on December 19th. It's called Reframing Aging, and it's with the Frameworks Institute. I just wanted to do a call out for that training because the Frameworks Institute is pretty amazing, and this is a free webinar. So if you're interested or want more information, if you go to the SASH calendar, you can see that on December 19th. It should be a really great training. Also, we're very pleased to announce we have a date for the all-day SASH training. So please mark your calendars. It will be on May 24th. And it'll be at the Fireside Inn in West Lebanon, New Hampshire, the same place as it was last year. So we'll be sending out a save the date with more information soon, but please just mark your calendars. That would be great. Whoever just joined, could you please *6 your phone to mute your phone? That would be wonderful. Stephanie, did you want to share any PHL updates?
Oh. Thanks. Sure. So, yes, I believe that as of today, you should be seeing your missing participants showing up on your caseloads. I'm trying to get a final list of that. I just got off a call with all the regional managers for SASH, and it sounds like it's kind of a mixed bag. So I'm a little hesitant to say this, and I'm waiting for a final list in from PHL to confirm all this. So thank you all so much for sending in your list of missing and inactive participants to Madeline. She got those all compiled. She's out of town for a couple days. She'll be back by Friday. And so we sent those into PHL, and from what I understand, as of right now, the missing people should show up on your caseloads, and the inactive should have come off. I know a few of you are having a little bit of problems with that, and you've let Madeline I know, so I appreciate that. And I guess go ahead and take a look, and hopefully you'll see good news, and if not, you can let us know. PHL did let me know there are a few participants that they couldn't get activated, and we're going to work those out. So hopefully some good news, and then there's some more updates that they're going to push out probably next week. So we'll get some updates, reporting, and some other things. So I'll keep you posted. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Stephanie. So as people are joining us, if you could *6 your phone to mute yourself, that would be great. That way I don't have to mute everybody individually. Thank you. Okay. The last part of our updates, we have a poll. We are looking to possibly create a photo staff directory. So this will allow SASH staff, especially those who are visual learners, to put names to faces, and for the rest of us who don't always see the other folks who are in the SASH team across the state, to kind of put faces with names. So we envision the directory would include your name, your title, location panel, email address, phone number, and a photo. So I'm going to put a poll out there and to see and let you all kind of vote on what you think about that. So here is my poll. Awesome. So you can see on the poll, we're asking people, what do you think about a photo? So you could answer, no, I don't think it would be helpful. I'm not sure. I need more information. Yes, it's a great idea, but I don't want to share a picture. Yes, it's a great idea, and I'd be happy to share a picture. So if you could just vote on your screen for one of those choices, that would be wonderful. And I'll give you guys a minute or so to do that. Okay, it looks like about 73% of you have voted. So if the rest of you could just put a vote in there for what you think about a photo directory, that would be wonderful. I'll give you about 10 more seconds. Okay, 3 more seconds. 2, 1. Okay, I'm going to close the poll. Okay, and let's see what the results are, see what people thought about it. So it looks like we have about 95% of you think it's a great idea and you'd be happy to share a photo. The other 5% think it's a great idea, but you're not so keen on sharing your picture. So regardless, it looks like people think this is a great idea, which is wonderful. So this is information that we needed. So thank you so much. We will share this with the rest of the administrative team who is probably on the call, and we will get back to you and kind of get moving on this because it sounds like you think it's a great idea. So thank you very much.
Hey, this is Molly. I just wanted to let you know that we have SASH coordinator here in the room with us that is also very favorable of the idea.
Yay! Great news. That's awesome.
Yeah, vote, but we're letting you know.
Thank you. So it's even higher percentage. Molly, while you're on there, is there any updates that you would like to share with the group?
One thing that happened recently is, we had and I've mentioned this before, our most recent evaluation of SASH by our independent evaluator, RTI, came out finally publicly in October. And just last week, we worked with your DRO executive directors and implementation managers around the state to put out a regional press release about the results and really personalized SASH kind of success story within each of the press releases for each of the DRO regions and got them sent out to the local press network. So we're hoping to get some hits with local press around that. And there's good news from the evaluation that shows that we're continuing to see those statistically significant Medicare savings in those early panels, and those are the ones, as you guys know, that are the more traditional congregate affordable settings where we have SASH. But the other really exciting news from this evaluation is that, and some of you know this because you dealt with this, but in the summer of 2015, RTI sent out a statewide mailed survey to a random selection of SASH participants and then also to a control group, so very similar people but not in SASH in both the state of Vermont and the state of New York.
And they really were asking questions around, people's functional status, their ability to manage medications, their nutritional health, and their understanding of connections between nutrition and health, those kind of things. And they got really positive results when they compared, how the SASH participants felt about their functional status and their health and their ability to manage medications versus the control group. So there was really some significant findings there. And it was really nice to finally really be hearing directly from our participants about how they're feeling the impact of the program. And it's clear that those, others within the state that aren't getting SASH are not feeling that same way. So again, it helps paint the picture of the impact that you all are having by working so closely with your participants. So there was a lot of good news to share in that most recent evaluation, and so hopefully we'll get some bites from local press. It could be that you get tapped to host a reporter to come out and learn a bit more about SASH and get the word out. At this point, we are on schedule to have one more year of this independent evaluation. So we'll keep you informed what the, as that develops and what we're hearing about the findings. So that's where we are. So thanks so much to all the implementation managers that helped get the press releases out, and to those of you that helped feed the success stories into those press releases. Thank you so much. There's some really compelling information in those press releases. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, Molly, for that update. Okay, so move on. So I'm going to provide a little background on social isolation before we get into Becky's presentation. Loneliness and social isolation may represent a greater public health hazard than obesity, and the impact has been growing and will continue to grow according to research presented at the 125th Annual Convention of the American Psychological Association that was held just this past year. Many of you see the impact that social isolation can have on the well-being of our participants on a daily basis. We asked all of you to watch a short film was by the campus in the UK. So I'm hoping that most of you had a chance to watch it. It was just a short little 3-minute video. So what I'd like you to do is just kind of think about what you saw and heard in the video and what it made you feel and what it brought up for you. One of the SASH coordinators reached out to us yesterday. I'm hoping she's on the call. Okay, Melissa says I'm cutting out again. I apologize for the sound. I have to use my iPhone on this call and my headphones, so I'm holding my speaker right directly below my mouth. So I'm hoping that this doesn't get too bad. So Nancy, if you're on the call, if you wanted to speak up about your interactions with them and work with them.
Hi, Amy. It's Nancy from St. Albans.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi. Good morning. Yeah, what I sent you yesterday was there were 2 different links that came out of the Loneliness Project. And for the others listening out there, I became familiar with that project last year when I was actually in England, and I dug a little deeper into the whole project. And we'll send out the links after the call today, but I encourage people to read the information on it, because basically England, they share our concern about loneliness, and it's definitely a public health priority in that country, and it's really fascinating to read what they're doing countrywide and also on regional levels to deal with the same issues that we're dealing with here. And what's most interesting to me is when you read through that information on the links, you feel like you're in the SASH program. Mm-hmm. It's just a different approach to the same issues that we're contending with. And I just encourage people to get a big, cup of coffee, because it's kind of lengthy, some of the reports, but it's so interesting to see region-wide how they contend, particularly with rural loneliness and sort of the different creative strategies that they use in a different country to kind of accomplish the same thing that we're doing. And the other thing I found very interesting was that they, of course, use evidence-based programming the same way we do. So it was kind of like reading about the SASH program, except in a different country. So anyway, that's all I have to add. But it is great reading, and I think it pays to just dig a little bit deeper into the website that you gave us for that video, Amy.
Great. Thank you for sharing that, Nancy. So I wanted to also see if there's any thoughts or reflections that people had after watching that video. If you want to type it in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself, we can kind of have a little type of interaction. Hi, did someone just join us or want to talk about their reflection?
Hi, Amy, it's Becky, but I'm driving. Thanks.
Hi, Becky. Did you want to share something?
Sorry, I just jumped in, so I'm not even sure what's going on. So I'll just listen.
Okay. Okay, so I just muted everyone because of Becky's car noise. This video brought up a lot for me, and I know we showed it also at the IM meeting last month in person, and we all thought that it was really important to share with all of you as we talk about this really important topic. So if you haven't watched the video, I highly encourage you to do so. There's some really fascinating things. Just to kind of recap it, there's a gentleman who kind of goes for a week without any phone contact, interactions with people, kind of locks himself in his room, and kind of what he goes through and the feelings that start to develop. And then he has a conversation at the end of the video with a gentleman who kind of deals with some of those issues, an older adult. And some of the things I talked about, is that more than 500,000 older people go up to a week without seeing anyone, which to me was pretty poignant and fascinating. And Kenneth says, I wonder what it would be like to show this to the residents. Agreed. Like, I think that this may be something you might want to share with them and have a conversation with them. Somebody's saying they didn't receive a link. I apologize for that, Robin. We sent it out to the coordinators who received information about the coordinator call, so I apologize if you didn't get that. But the link is in the materials section on this toolbar. We'll also attach it to the presentation materials when they're online. David says, as a follow-up, we will introduce chickens to our participants, a project used to combat isolation. So there's different tools and things out there that you can do. So I encourage you to kind of take a look at this site in the UK that combat the Center to End Loneliness over in the UK. They've got some really great information. And I'm hoping that some of the information I shared today and that Becky has, some of the ideas and things that she's done, can also be really helpful. So I'm just going to give you some background on what social isolation is and some of the statistics around it. So before we start talking about it, let's define what it is. It's a state of complete or near complete lack of contact between an individual and society. It can differ from loneliness, which reflects a temporary lack of contact with other humans. So it's the individual's sense that these things are lacking to the extent that they want or need them. So some people may not want contact with others. Some people need it and they just can't get it. Social isolation can be an issue for individuals of any age. Those symptoms may differ by the age group. All types of social isolation can include staying home for lengthy periods of time, having no communication with family, acquaintances, or friends, and or willfully avoiding any contact with other people when the opportunity presents itself. According to the New York Times article, How Social Isolation is Killing Us, and we've got links to that at the end of this presentation, about 1/3 of Americans over the age of 65 now live alone, and half of those over the age of 85 live alone. They also say that people in poorer health, especially those with mood disorders like anxiety and depression, are more likely to feel lonely. And those without a college education are the least likely to have someone they can talk to about important personal matters. I'm guessing that many of you see some of these things on a daily basis with some of the participants in your panel. So how do we identify if one of our participants is at risk for social isolation? Here are the top 3 risk factors. First, factors that are related to personal circumstances. These could be situations such as people who are widowed or don't have children, or people who don't have family members who live nearby or are still alive. Second, major life events such as the loss of a loved one or a change in their living situation or a change to their mobility. And finally, poor physical or mental health with the expectation that their health won't improve over time. Those participants with chronic health conditions are at greater risk. All of these factors and others can lead to a greater risk of being socially isolated. So these are things for us to pay attention to with people in our panel. Robin Stone, who's the executive director of the Leading Age Center for Applied Research, she co-authored a paper called The Need for a Social Revolution in Residential Care. This article is also referenced at the end of this presentation. This article stated that resident engagement and peer support can be more effective than traditional activity programs in addressing loneliness and depression among residents of nursing homes, assisted living settings, and retirement communities. They call this approach REAP, R-E-A-P, which stands for Resident Engagement and Peer Support. They suggest providing opportunities for emotional and meaningful social engagement developed in collaboration with the residents, tapping into residents as a source of peer support. So these are just some ways of looking at social isolation that could be helpful. So there are three basic features of the REAP concept that can help participants. The first piece of that is called meaning. They suggest that the residential communities assess what types of group participation are meaningful for each of the residents. This includes looking at how residents can be actively engaged in those groups, as well as how they can contribute. The second is participation. It has more of an impact when you foster relationships among participants and help them discover and value their shared identity. They suggest providing opportunities for participation and relationship building. And the third is service. REAP encourages residents to create and be a part of groups that focus on being of service to and helping others, holding opportunities for community engagement and where participants can be helpful to others. What can you do with your current programming or future programs that could encourage REAP, the resident engagement and peer support concept, by encouraging and creating meaning, participation, and service? So I'm going to go through Becky's presentation and think about some of the ways that she has done exactly that in her. So as I said, unfortunately, Becky couldn't join us today, but she did share her presentation with us, and I'm going to be speaking her words on her behalf. So if you don't know Becky, she started working with seniors at the age of 14 when she volunteered at the nursing home where her grandmother worked. And then at the age of 16, they offered her a part-time nurse's aide position. She worked there for the next 2 years. Over the years, she's tried many different careers, including floral design, floral shop owner, CAD design, blueprint reading, project management, general store owner, EMT, phlebotomist, and ER tech. She's quite talented, to name a few. In 2014, Becky accepted the SASH coordinator position through Shires Housing for a brand new panel in Deerfield Valley. Becky was very happy to be working with seniors again. And after 7 months, the panel grew to just over 100 participants, and they were awarded an additional half panel. In April of this year, Becky stepped into the implementation manager position. She's also a SASH coordinator for 50 participants in the Deerfield Valley and 26 in Bennington. So our presentation is called Tackling the Challenge of Social Isolation. Early on in SASH, Becky partnered with the Vermont Food Bank, and within a few months of the first food drop, they had upwards of 60 people come to get food monthly. Family members were so appreciative of what SASH was offering their parents and siblings. 4 of the participants' family members called Becky at different times to ask what they could do in return for all that they've been offered. Becky invited them to become volunteer drivers one day a month for the food bank deliveries. She partnered with RSVP Brattleboro, who coordinates volunteers, and had the 4 background checks done through RSVP. These 4 amazing volunteers now pack up to 37 boxes of food every month and deliver remotely to areas where folks who are homebound. Several of these participants tell her team that they love getting fresh food every month, but the best part they look forward to is a visit each month. Each of the drivers spend time chatting with participants when they deliver. Many participants say they look forward to their visit, and the volunteers report that this feeling is mutual. Trans participants in one of Becky's panels, Catherine, mails Becky a tea bag every 2 months, and they chat on the phone, over a cup of tea. Becky was Catherine's first SASH coordinator, but as her panels grew, some of her participants had to move to other panels. This was this participant's way of staying in contact with Becky. She quickly realized that being socially connected doesn't always have to be face-to-face. They try to call most of their participants a minimum of once a month, some less, and some much more frequent. It was Catherine who inspired Becky to start a program called Call Me Friend. Becky started Call Me Friend the week before Thanksgiving. At the time of this presentation, it is still in the very early stages. She currently has 4 participants who have never met, but call and chat with one another. She is also connected with some Bennington College students who are calling and have actually visited a few participants. Starting in December, some of the area high school students are going to start calling participants on a weekly basis to just chat for 20 minutes or so. The first calls will be scripted to provide an easier start to the conversation. It's Becky's hope that there will be some type of connection that will develop between the 2 people talking, and that this program, Call Me Friend, will grow. She also learned over the years to think outside the box. She loves a challenge. So one day she Googled new activities for senior citizens. Puddle painting came up, so she put it in the monthly calendar. 15 participants showed up to see what puddle painting was. They now have this event frequently. She was trying to think of a different activity one day and decided to teach flower arranging. And as you know from her description of her background, she used to own a floral shop. And she says now that this is their second most popular activity. Nurse Jill is a yoga instructor in their area. She offers gentle yoga through SASH. She has many participants in the class every week, and she holds classes in different locations to serve as many people as possible. This is their #1 event. Becky also searched for anything free on the internet. NIH, the National Institute of Health, offers many options. One of her favorites is No Stroke. That's the name of the program. The NIH mailed her all of the information and brochures along with a VHS tape and a DVD. They've now offered this informational event 9 times in the area, including a church group and the Rotary Club. Becky has also been invited to the Men's Coffee Hour to present. She's also partnering with Beata Home Health for nurse presentations. The participants' favorite presentation these days is Laughter is the Best Medicine. Becky also has a farm. On 2 different occasions, they hosted a Bring Your Lamb to Work Day. Her lambs were children's pull-ups, and off they went to visit people out in the community. The older adults were so excited. There was even one woman who cried happy tears. Many of the participants had asked her to bring her lambs in again. I want to go to Bring Your Lamb to Work Day. I don't know. One of Becky's favorite was Deerfield. 3 years ago, she started high school in order to graduate and receive their diploma. Then to throw a senior prom for the area seniors. Becky taught them to make corsages and boutonnieres, and she and Marianne helped the high school students make all of the flowers for the participants. Melissa says I'm cutting out again. Sorry, I'm talking through my phone now, so hopefully it won't cut it. They rented a hall, prepared food, decorated, DJ'd the event, wore black and white, and served the food to the participants. After dinner, the students invited the participants to dance with them. Everyone had a wonderful time. This is now an annual event. When it came time for the high school prom, the seniors asked them to teach them to do the flowers for the students. So the kids were only charged with the cost of the flowers. and participants were so excited to do this for the students' prom. In their town, the 6th grade class receives $1,000 each year from the town for their class trip. In turn, the families of the class are responsible to prepare food for 200 people on town meeting day. Last year, Becky contacted the school and made arrangements for the parents to come up with a menu, purchase the ingredients, and drop off the food at her office. The 6th grade class, all 12 of them, came to the senior housing and prepared the entire meal with the seniors. The seniors keep asking when they're going to be able to do this again. Many of their participants don't get to see the grandchildren, or their grandchildren are already grown. This gives the participants a chance to hang out with their children. Raya needed to finish her community service hours. She was entering her senior year. Throughout the summer, she came to 2 of Becky's panels and helped participants with their phones, tablets, and computers. She also served coffee hour and played games with them. A great connection was made, and she dubbed a group of ladies at the center the Golden Girls. Summer months, they offer a cookout once a month using a commercial grill and tent that was purchased with donated money that one of the participants left the program. Becky's parents, who are 75 and 80, drive up 2.5 hours to man the grill because they like to help the elderly. Becky says that she sometimes reminds her dad he is one of the elderly, but they love it as much as the participants there love seeing them and visiting. Becky also started the Deerfield Valley Health and Wellness Fair 3 years ago. She was told by many people that it wouldn't work. This past year, they just held their 3rd annual Health and Wellness Fair with 15 vendors, including a flu clinic. I think it worked. Now assisted 2 other areas start their own Health and Wellness Fair. In Bennington, they had 26 vendors and close to 80 participants and community members attend the fair. And the town of Manchester is right now in the organizing stage of this fair for the spring. The fairs also offered door prizes to those who attended, and it sounds like it was a really great way to give back to the community. 2 Bennington College students contacted Becky a couple of weeks ago. They met with her stating that they wanted to come up with a program so that they could work with the aging generation. As a result, Becky is working with them, and they created a group called TROW. TROW is a Vietnamese word that means to give, to exchange, or to pass on. Its connotation includes an act of endearment and passing on a family tradition or legacy. Through need-catered and themed workshops, TROW aims to create an open skill sharing forum for the members of the Bennington community to reimagine collective learning and connect across generations and background. The program created for the older adults in Becky's panel provides college students who will come in and teach the seniors skills that they know, such as technology and painting. In turn, the seniors will then teach the college students skills that they know, such as knitting or baking or whatever other interests and skills that they might have. The girls and at least 3 of the residents have made a movie and dinner date. These students have also been paying out of pocket for some of their art supplies for the residents. And it sounds like it's been a really successful community partnership that they've built, and TROW is also doing this in other areas. So Becky's advice is, if you think it, try it. Not everything's going to work, but if you don't try it, you'll never know if it's going to work. We're not going to end social isolation totally. However, if we can help even a few of our participants, it's a success. So we wanted to thank Becky for her wonderful presentation and all the amazing work that she's doing with her panels. And we're so sorry that she couldn't join us today. It sounds like she may be on the call, but not necessarily be able to present. So Becky, I know that you're on the call. Is there anything that you would like to say or speak out for? Looks like not. So if anyone has questions for Becky, she said please feel free to email her at the email address that's on the screen. She'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. Okay. I also asked other across the SASH network, so to speak, for examples from other panels to hear what they were doing around engaging residents and combating social isolation. So here are some examples from Rutland. Some of the Rutland panels responded. So one panel has a kitchen clatch every month. If you're wondering, because I was, a clatch is a social gathering, usually around coffee and food. They have also started making extra food, and each person brings a dish to a neighbor. Stephanie just asked if Becky could share a copy of the starting phone script for the high school students for the Call a Friend. I'm sure she'd be more than happy to. I will ask her about that, and we will attach it to the information for the presentation. Thanks, Stephanie. That's a good idea. So Emily from the Rutland area says that some of her successes have involved inviting someone who lives in the community to come to events in the community room at a nearby housing site. She also refers people to the Senior Companion Program, which is a great idea. She's also offered to walk the halls with someone who's isolated and hasn't had a lot of exercise. But the one thing that seems to get participants out of their house is their nightly bingo. So she and the property management group are working out a plan to provide some financial aid around supplies that they need to continue this program. The bingo program has really gotten a lot of folks out of their homes, so it's a great idea. Colleen from Rutland says, in quotes, do you ever remember going somewhere alone for the first time and how scared you were, like starting kindergarten or a new job where you knew no one? So she was telling the isolated folks that she works with about all the wonderful programs at the Castleton Community Center. And she would get from them, I have no way to get there. So her response was, I can have the bus come and get you and bring you back home. And still for some people, they wouldn't go. So now Colleen offers transportation and informs them that they'll receive help getting on and off the bus. She asks if they know where her office is located. She can describe the building. And then as a last resort, which is always works without her having to do it, she says, I will meet you there and introduce you to a few people if you'd like. I tell them there's a lot of good people that go there and they may even know some of them. Then they realize that I know they're nervous. I've never had to meet anyone there, but I would. It's always at that point when they tell me it's not necessary and they go. It really works. I'm glad I discovered it, but not happy that it took me so long. Thanks for sharing that, Colleen. She's also listed meal sites, informed them that they could go to a different location every day of the week. Who wouldn't want to have lunch at the Fairhaven Inn? And the meals at the Young at Heart Senior Center are fabulous. She's eaten there in the past. So that's also cool if you can eat at some of these sites and tell people about how great the food is. I also asked them what they would like to do. Some have stated aquatics at Castleton. Some have started going to the gym there. So it's a wonderful resource. So thank Colleen. So this is some really great ideas of different folks, and I'm sure all across the SASH sites that all of you have done different things. But I think part of this is recognizing that we have people who are socially isolated and lonely in our panels, and that we need to reach out for them and think about different ways that we can engage them and work with them and kind of help with some of this. Because the other pieces of social isolation, which I didn't go into, is that it's a major health issue, and it can lead to death as well. So we really want to pay attention to these people. So I'm looking to see if there's any questions or comments that people have in the chat. So if you want to post any questions that you have, David's saying, thank you, Becky. Christine says, thank you, Becky. It sounds wonderful. Sounds like Diana they were talking about phone calls and trying to reach out to people. So Diana Roll says one of the challenges she has is seeing that many people say that they're lonely, that live close to each other, and then refuse to communicate with others that are also lonely. We have get-togethers, and sometimes people get to know each other better that way, but I wish people would allow themselves to meet new people who are also lonely so the two would then have support of each other. So they were going back and forth about what would be helpful. So it looks like they were talking about making phone calls and brainstorming, especially in the winter months. It can be really hard for people who are isolated with the snow and going outside. So thinking outside the box, thinking about what we can do. I don't know if you've heard of the Zimmers. So I was introduced to them via the interwebs. There was a video of them. They were on America's Got Talent. So they're an English rock band. They're thought to have the oldest members of any music group in the world. When they competed at Britain's Got Talent in 2007, their ages range from 66 to 88. So now I think a few have passed, but they're still making music. Members of the band have said that they formed to give a voice for feelings of isolation amongst older adults, which I think is pretty wonderful. And if you're wondering what a Zimmer is, it's an English word. It's a word what they call a walker in England. But I just put this out there just to think on a positive note that there's some older adults that realize this and recognize this, and they're trying to do things about it. And it looks like this wonderful group of older adults are also thinking outside the box and trying to do things to engage and to have fun and to get to meet other people. So if you haven't, I would encourage you to watch their videos and see some of the wonderful work that they've done. They're pretty cool. So also just want to see if there are any other questions out there. I didn't get any from before, but if anyone had anything else they wanted to add. So please type those in the chat if you do. So upcoming coordinator calls. So in January, we're going to have Clayton Clark from Adult Protective Services. And in February, we're going to do a training on creating encounter notes and documentation that will be done by the SASH staff. And on behalf of the SASH team, I'd just like to wish all of you a very, very happy holiday. And we will see you all next year. And just know we will post this on the forum, and we'll post all the articles and the other things, and hopefully the script from Becky on the Call a Friend, and any other things that seem pertinent. So if you have any questions, please reach out to Becky. If there's anything else that you would like from us, please let me know. And I hope you all have a great rest of 2017. And yes, Diana, you all do rock. And we will see you all in 2018. So thanks so much for joining us today. Have a great, wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.